We're very proud indeed to be associated with CEDA, and of course we thank CEDA for the opportunity for us to be the national sponsor. I don't think CEDA's actually had a national sponsor for this series for about 6 years, so it's been logistically quite a task for a university, and most people in this room probably know when they went to university they were bureaucratic, and those lecturers and professors, they were a bit cranky and didn't really want to know anything about students and all that sort of thing. So it's been quite a logistical test, I suppose, for us as an organisation. There are about 9 of these events, and as was mentioned earlier, we kicked off yesterday in Brisbane. I think we had around about 400 people there yesterday, so it was very much a success, and I'm sure it will be here today. Now, we at the University of Queensland note the importance of this series, the Economic and Political Overview series, and its focus on national but also local state issues. The debate that is imperative for Australia in an increasing competitive globalised world. We at the Australian Institute of Business and Economics, what we call AIB, as we say, are proud to be the national sponsor. So let me tell you a little bit about industry, government and university collaboration. The report in which you have in front of you is an important report that was released yesterday by CEDA. It raised a number of very serious issues. It was extremely well written, and I think it did highlight where we're going in the future. But pivotal to that is the issue of research, innovation, and harnessing the expertise that we already have in this country, and we have had for many, many years. So first, I'd like to begin for you to imagine the future. Imagine you had a crystal ball, that you could define your business challenges and opportunities and the best way to manage these. It is what every business and government wants, and it is, of course, impossible. What is possible, however, is the focus, the brains of world-leading experts on the challenges and opportunities your organisation faces. Experts that can apply their knowledge and rigorous academic modelling to help ensure that you're at the front foot, well, what the future may hold. We don't have crystal balls, but we certainly do have expertise. Now, these experts, of course, are world-leading, and at UQ, they're award-winning academic research staff, not only in business, economics and law, and we are part of a faculty. I'm embedded within a faculty called the Faculty of Business, Economics and Law, but also across the entire university, which is always ranked either number 1, number 2 in Australia, and always in the top 50 or 60 in the world. Now, I might not have a crystal, but I can see your bubble thoughts here. Oh no, universities, they're impossible to deal with. They don't understand the commercial imperatives, they don't respect my deadlines, they're bureaucratic and don't talk about IP. Terrible stuff. Academics, they just want to sit in their ivory tower, they're in their little offices, writing their little papers that no one reads. I know, I get it all the time. So we understand this perception, and that's why the University of Queensland established AIB, the Australian Institute of Business and Economics. Now this is interesting. While 8 of Australia's universities are in the world's top 100, it's no secret that Australia is lagging behind the rest of the world in commercialising university research, a major point raised within the EPO report. As our Prime Minister recently highlighted, a recent OECD report suggested Australia is ranked near the bottom of the list of OECD nations when it comes to commercialising university research. Now, it's not surprising, this is costing us dearly in loss of commercial opportunities and of course future growth. A fact highlighted by various Productivity Commission reports, the government's own innovation statement, and a number of other reports by various agencies. And of course the EPO report that was released yesterday. Now the University of Queensland is an acknowledged leader in commercialising research in Australia. That's something that we can very much be proud of. Probably one of only 2 universities that have done this well. And I'm very proud to be at the University of Queensland because of it. Let's take for an example. Ian Fraser's cervical cancer vaccine, licensed to CSL over 20 years ago, is probably one of the most finest examples of commercialisation of university research ever in Australia. We look at something like Wi-Fi, invented in Australia not just by the CSRO, but also by Macquarie University, the commercialisation of that, it took a long time, a lot of legal arguments to get money back to the CSRO. So we can do it well. I've got another example here from UQ. MRI. I'm sure a lot of us have been associated with these MRIs. Well, the innovation using image correction technology has been incorporated in 2/3 of all clinical MRI systems installed worldwide since the late 1990s. Now, I bet you didn't know that. And now, with ABE, UQ is set to cement this reputation in business and economics using our world-leading academics. Now, these academics are recognised as some of the best in the world, often, as I said, near the top or at the top when it comes to what we call government national competitive grants through the Australian Research Council. And of course, our 3 schools within the faculty, all of them, on any ranking you want to look at, are in the top 30 or the top 40 in their particular disciplines. World class. So we believe that ABE is a unique organisation in Australia. I always say it's a one-stop shop located in a global top 50 university, bridging the gap between the needs, your needs and your organisations and academic expertise. Now, interesting, I just had a conversation there as we were having coffee, and someone came up to me and said, well, how come you're talking to industry? Which I thought, oh, okay. Well, we're talking to industry because we know the future of university will be dependent on industry. It will be dependent on collaborating. Now, we have over 280 experts in business, economics and law in our faculty, one of the biggest, if not the biggest, in Australia. So, what have we been doing over the last 18 months since ABE has been created? We've been managing a series of commercial projects to ensure quality outcomes are delivered on time. Now, one of the great benefits of working with us is its rigour and transparency. Unlike some organisations, and I won't mention certain consultancies, that undertake applied research, we are delighted to share and publish our modelling if the business partners want. Remember, we are a university, we're not a consultancy. We aim to develop strong, long-term partnerships within industry and government. That is my job, that is my core KPI, is develop relationships and turn those relationships into partnerships. Very strategic. Many of the issues we are working on are highlighted in the EPO report, which was launched yesterday. So, and they provide glimpses into that crystal ball that I was talking about. Now, can I give you a couple of examples? And I'll highlight what I think are some of the most important features within the report and what we in ABE are doing in that sort of space. So one area highlighted in the EPA report was efficient infrastructure. I know that's going to be a debate as we go along today. Very important. Well, it's important for Canberra, but it's very important for Queensland too. So last year we brokered a 5-year strategic partnership with UQ and the Port of Brisbane Authority worth $2 million, which is quite a lot of money in academic terms, to help future-proof the Port of Brisbane as Queensland's economic engine, utilising the engineering expertise and our business and economics world-class knowledge. So it's a collaborative project with the Port of Brisbane and also our engineering faculty and of course with our business and economics. Now, any of you who have been hanging around universities at any point in time knows even getting collaboration between faculties can be a bit of a nightmare. So we've been able to partner in so many different ways. So we're working with the authority to develop port-related engineering solutions and technologies. And in fact, to support that, the Queensland Government, through their market-led proposal scheme, which is a new scheme which they're developing in Queensland, are also looking at the Port of Brisbane in developing a cruise ship port. Anyone that knows where their passenger terminal is not really where you want to get off. It's not Sydney Harbour. So how do you then create a port which is inviting, along with all the valued added commercial activities like shopping, car spaces, you name it, and of course the infrastructure that leads into the port and out of the port. A very big endeavour. I always thought ports were basically a bit of concrete and ships pulled up to them. Now I realise they're probably one of the most complex things you can possibly think of. Okay, another important issue raised in the EPA report was the future of work. That was a major theme that came through the report when you read it. Recently completed a pilot project with the Australian Chamber of Commerce and Industry and the Federal Department of Industry. Laura and myself, Laura's just down here, she's also part of ABE, very much led that project. And we were looking at the future drivers and challenges of the future of work, including the ageing workforce, workforce flexibility and diversity issues, all issues that were highlighted in the EPO report when you go through it. Now, this research highlighted the need for agility in the workplace and drivers of creating agile organisations. And in particular, the aims of this research was to educate and inform small to medium-sized business and those micro businesses. Very important, I would see, for Canberra. Micro businesses being businesses with 4 employees or less. Very important when it comes to the future productivity or workplace productivity. So we did this research, and we did it in a very sort of fresh and innovative way by delivering not only the academic rigour and the academic research, of course, but also generating channel-ready outputs for practitioners and small business. So we put a series of outputs out, and they were written in such a way, and we tested it, written in such a way in which small business owners could understand. So using the rigour and the academic rigour of a proper academic report, all the way down into a couple of sheets and on web as well and so forth, where we could actually then diffuse that knowledge down to the practitioners. Now, the other big area, of course, is in the report is disruptive technology and innovation. It was very much another major theme of the EPO report. Now, in the Institute, we're developing a relationship with Suncorp, exploring the impact of disruptive technology on the insurance industry, another very big area. For example, the impact of driverless cars that perhaps might be less likely to crash. Now, we know that anyone knows anything about personal insurance, that makes up a pretty big slice of an insurance company's profit. So that can be an important factor for the insurance industry in Australia. Now, ABE is also working with banks. One bank we're working with is ANZ to produce a series of economic and financial reports about the short-term challenges facing Australia and Southeast Asia. And that's a collaboration with their chief economists and their chief economist unit, with our experts within ABE. And we also have a number of collaborative projects, the Queensland Treasury Corporation exploring social impact, environmental bonds, looking at the future investment, their future investment potential, looking at, which have been very much highlighted in the report. We're also looking at areas of environmental finance and the business and economics of health, which is looming as the big elephant as we look at budgets in the future. Now, it's a win-win situation because UQE welcomes the opportunity to extend its research into real-time commercial opportunities and challenges to produce relevant, high-quality research. I'd certainly like to welcome you to read the report, the EPO report. Other issues raised, and some of them I've just sort of touched on, infrastructure, which you'll be talking about a little bit later on, the importance of technology when it comes to strategy. We're looking at the challenges and opportunities of workforce participation, female participation, but also encouraging older workers or more experienced workers to stay in work. And of course, China. If you look through those economic chapters, China is looming as the big unknown, as it's shifting its economy from consumption, as there's a weakness within the industrial sector. All of these are very critical issues for Australia. And lastly, the end of the mining boom has been highlighted in the EPO report, places significant challenges in finding opportunities and harnessing the knowledge. But that knowledge will only come from research and innovation that is currently underway at universities, in industry and in government. And of course, my institute was established to provide that connection, to build upon what we have already achieved and will continue to have to do in the future. Now, ABE doesn't have a crystal ball, but I like to think that ABE's very much on the ball when it comes to this collaboration. And that was very much a major theme coming out of the report. And finally, I don't need a crystal ball to tell you a couple of things. I'm sure today will be a stimulating conversation and discussion. And we've got a couple of debates and discussions even in the morning session. And I'm sure you're going to hear a lot more about ABE. And so we're very proud indeed to be associated as a national sponsor, as I said at the beginning. And thank you very much.